Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for joining me on this video. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you on how to use column and row functions. I know that a lot of people are having challenges using these functions and many people have not even heard of these functions and how it can actually be used, right? So in today's video, I'm going to walk you on how you can actually use the two functions like a professional. You might probably be wondering what exactly is the purpose of using these functions. Number one is just to count the number of rows in a table. Let's say you have a table that contains numerous columns and rows, and you want to know the number of rows in that table, right? Instead of you counting manually, you can't be counting thousands of rows manually or 10,000s of rows manually. Or you can do that by applying the rows formula, and within seconds, you've already gotten your answer. Same thing applicable to columns, which is the second point I want to mention, right? The purpose of using the column functions is to be able to determine the number of columns in the table. Just like the example I gave when I was explaining how rows function can actually be used. Same example is what I'm going to give now. If you want to make use of the columns functions, you use the column functions to be able to count the number of columns in the table, right? When you are working with a table that has so many columns, you can't be counting manually. For you to save time, you need to apply the column functions, and within seconds, you will get the number of columns in your table. All right, so how to use these functions? It has a formula, and the formula is equal to columns, open bracket, array, and close bracket. This is for columns function, right? Equal to the columns and then open bracket. The array is your table. Array is talking about your table. If you want to use these functions, I will advise that you rename your table. If your table is named as table 1 or table 2, rename it, right? So that when you want to pull it out, it will be easy for you to pull out with the name that you've given the table. Same thing applicable to row formula. Row formula is equal to rows, open brackets, array, and close brackets. The array, like I earlier said, is your table, the name of your table, right? All right, so that is all about the columns and row functions. My name is Ajimalu Finizra, and if this is your first time on clicking on my videos, please hit the subscribe button and also click on the likes button. When you do this, it motivates me to be able to create more educational videos like this that can help your Excel journey. All right, let us proceed. Quickly, I'm going to walk you on how you can actually use the functions properly like a professional. So this is a table here that we are going to work on, right? And this table, I've already named the table, but I'm going to rename it, right? So to rename the table, you can click anywhere on the table and then go to the top of your screen. You see menus there. You can just find table design, click on table design, and at the left side of your screen at the top, you see a table name. Beneath it, you see a text box. You can say that I have already named it with patient data. So I'm going to rename it now as patient table. All right. So Excel will recognize this name. So if you are working with the functions, the column functions and rows functions, it will be very easy for us to be able to pull out this table with this name. All right. So we have a question to attempt here, a task, right? And the task is use column and row functions to solve the questions. The first question is this: find the number of columns in the table. Look at this, is a table here. We want to know the number of columns here. Instead of you counting manually, you can apply a formula to it, right? And this is the formula. Let's start with the first question. Find the number of columns in the table. So it will be equal to, remember the formula, equal to columns, open brackets. You arrange your table. We have renamed the table as patient table. All right, so let us start patient table. Can you see? Excel recognizes the name of the table, and then just double click and close the brackets. All right, so you click OK. So Excel is telling us now with this function that we've used, column function that we've used, that we are having 13 columns in this table. Let us confirm this table is not really that large. So let us confirm the number of columns manually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You can see that it is correct now. So it is correct. This is how you can apply the column functions to be able to determine the number of columns in your table. So if you are working with a large data set, instead of you counting manually, you can easily apply the functions and be able to determine the number of columns in your table within seconds. All right, so let us attempt the second question. Find the number of rows in the table. So we need to apply the rows formula, which is equal to rows, open brackets. We have, what's the name of our table? Patients table, and then you close the brackets and you click OK. So we have 20 rows in our table. Let us confirm it. All right, so you can say that if we have to count from here to this place, you'll be having 21, but if you subtract the header, you'll be having 20, so which is very correct. All right, so this is how to use the columns function and the rows function like a professional. So if you have been counting manually before, I would advise that you stop and start using the columns and the rows functions. All right, thank you so much. I've come to the end of today's class. So if you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button now. And if you find this video helpful, share it with your friends and colleagues. Let them also learn what you've learned. My name remains the same. I am Israel Ajimalufe. Ensure that you practice. Practice makes perfect. Thank you.